In a quiet suburban neighborhood, every streetlight hummed with the comfort of routine. But then, one man vanished, and nothing was ever the same again. Mr. Caldwell was the kind of neighbor everyone waved to, until the night his porch light stayed on, but he never came home. At first, the neighbors whispered. Maybe he was sick. Maybe he'd gone on vacation. But deep down, everyone felt it, something wasn't right. Days passed. His car sat untouched. His mailbox overflowed. And still, no word. That's when the HOA stepped in. But instead of helping, they made his disappearance their secret. The HOA president, Mrs. Whitmore, told everyone Caldwell had moved suddenly. But no one had seen him pack. Not a single box. She smiled too much. She answered too quickly. And her eyes never stopped darting toward Caldwell's house. That night, strange flyers appeared on every door, new HOA rules. Rules that didn't make sense. No late-night walks. No talking to outsiders. And most chilling of all, no one was to approach Caldwell's property. The neighbors wanted answers. But every time someone asked, the HOA's warnings grew sharper. At night, dogs barked at Caldwell's house. They howled until dawn. As if something inside wouldn't let them sleep. And yet, the HOA insisted, everything was normal. But why did lights flicker in Caldwell's windows at 3 a.m.? Why did his garden smell of rot, when no one had touched it for weeks? And why was mail still being delivered, but never taken inside? By the second week, Caldwell's absence was all anyone whispered about. No one dared to say it out loud, but every glance at that empty porch carried the same fear, was he still in there? Then one night, a child swore he saw Caldwell's silhouette move across the upstairs window. But when parents rushed to look, the window was dark. Empty. The next morning, a new HOA sign was hammered into Caldwell's yard, trespassing forbidden. It wasn't just a rule. It was a warning. And everyone felt it. Still, one brave neighbor, Mr. Holbrook, decided to knock on Caldwell's door. He knocked once. Twice. And the third time. A curtain shifted upstairs. Holbrook stumbled back, eyes wide, and swore someone was watching him. But when others looked, the window was still. Empty again. That night, scratching sounds echoed from within the walls of Caldwell's house. Neighbors pressed their ears to the walls. Something was moving inside. Then, just as quickly as it started, silence. The wind blew a letter from his overflowing mailbox. It unfolded mid-air, and inside, just one phrase, "Do not ask." Karen found a flyer taped to her door. It wasn't from the HOA, at least, not officially. In shaky handwriting, it read, "You're next if you don't stay quiet." She froze, her heart racing. She slammed the door shut and locked it, her breath ragged. But when she turned, she saw another flyer, slipped under the living room window. Across the street, lights flicked on one by one. Neighbors peeked out from curtains, whispering, watching Karen's house like she was already guilty. The HOA president, Mr. Collins, stepped into the street, clipboard in hand. He didn't say a word, just pointed at Karen's house, then turned back to his own. The next morning, Karen found a letter from the HOA stuffed in her mailbox. It warned of non-compliance penalties if she didn't remove unauthorized posters from her property. She realized they were twisting the threats into official notices, burying her under paperwork while hiding something darker. She called a neighbor, hoping for help. But the line clicked, and a distorted voice whispered, "Stop asking questions." Then silence. Karen's stomach sank. They weren't just watching her, they were controlling the narrative, cutting her off from anyone who might help. She grabbed her keys, deciding to confront the HOA directly. But when she reached the office, the windows were covered, blinds drawn tight. A sign taped to the door read, "Closed for maintenance." But faintly, she heard voices inside, chanting, rhythmic, wrong. David sits at his desk, staring at the HOA letter. The ink feels wet, as if freshly written, but he just picked it up from his mailbox. His heart races. The words twist in his mind, obey, or be erased. He looks up and sees his reflection in the dark window, but for a second, it isn't his own face staring back. Terrified, David slams the blinds shut. The house is silent, until a faint scratching noise begins at the front door. David creeps toward the door, holding his breath. He whispers, "Who's there?" Silence. Then, one final, heavy claw mark drags down the wood. When he dares to open the door, nothing is there. Only the quiet suburban street, bathed in pale moonlight. But when David looks down, a single black feather rests on his doorstep. He picks it up, and it feels unnaturally warm. The next day, the HOA president Mrs. Whitaker greets him with a chilling smile. "Strange things happen when people break the rules, David." David forces a smile back, but as she walks away, he notices something unsettling, black feathers caught in the hem of her dress. That night, another letter arrives, "Stop asking questions, or you'll vanish too." David's hands shake as he drops it to the floor. He can't take it anymore. David whispers to himself, "I have to find out what really happened to Greg." The council president, Mrs. Whitmore, slammed a binder shut. "Enough questions. This matter is closed." But her trembling hands betrayed her fear. A voice from the back challenged her, "If there's nothing to hide, why does the HOA fine anyone who asks about him?" Silence consumed the room. After the meeting, anonymous letters appeared on doorsteps, "Stop digging," or "Disappear." Each written in bold, black ink. Fear spread through the neighborhood. Porch lights stayed on all night. Blinds closed. And whispers replaced conversations. One night, a neighbor's security camera caught shadows moving in places no one should have been. The footage vanished from the cloud the next day. "Deleted," the homeowner muttered, his voice shaking. The HOA denied everything. "There is no footage. There are no shadows. Stop spreading rumors." But behind closed doors, neighbors whispered, "Someone in the HOA is covering it up." Tension boiled. Some wanted to dig deeper. Others begged to leave it alone. The neighborhood was split in two. And in the middle of it all, the missing neighbor's house stood, silent, untouched, and watching. A storm raged outside, wind tearing at the trees. The HOA board gathered in secret, their silhouettes lit by candlelight. Their whispers echoed with dread. "They know we're being watched," one whispered. Another clutched a folder of documents tighter, as if the truth inside could set them free, or destroy them. The folder spilled open, inside, photos of the missing neighbor, taken at odd hours. Watching. Following. Documenting. One photo showed him entering a house that wasn't his. Another, him arguing with a stranger in the dead of night. The board members exchanged nervous glances. Someone hissed, "If this gets out, it's not just the HOA that's finished. It's all of us." Then, the candles flickered violently. A chilling draft swept through the room. One by one, the flames died. The room was swallowed in black. Heavy breathing filled the silence. Then, footsteps, slow, deliberate, circling them. "Who's there?" a board member shouted, his voice cracking. Silence answered. Then, a whisper, close to his ear, "You shouldn't have watched." The man stumbled back, knocking over his chair. The sound thundered in the dark, but when the others lit a match, he was gone. They searched frantically, calling his name, but the storm drowned their cries. Outside, a lone streetlight flickered, and went out. The board huddled together, trembling. "We're cursed," someone whispered. Another shook his head. "No, we're guilty." Lightning split the sky, illuminating the truth for a heartbeat. faces twisted in fear, and a figure standing behind them all. When the darkness returned, the figure was gone. Only wet footprints trailed across the floor, leading to the open door. The wind howled through the doorway, scattering the photos across the floor. Each face stared upward, accusing, damning. One photo slid against the doorframe, revealing not the missing neighbor, but one of the board members themselves. The neighborhood Facebook group lit up with new posts. "Anyone seen Jacob?" one read. Replies stacked beneath, "Heard he skipped town, but his car's still in the driveway." The mystery deepened. At night, Sarah's phone buzzed with a private message, "Don't ask about Jacob. You're being watched." The sender vanished instantly after sending. Sarah dropped the phone, her hands trembling. She looked out the window. Across the street, the HOA president's house was the only one with lights still on. She whispered to herself, what if they took him? The thought lingered in the silence like smoke, heavy and suffocating. The next morning, Jacob's mailbox stood open. Inside, instead of letters, Sarah saw a note scrawled in red ink, "HOA loyalty above all." Sarah stumbled back, her mind racing. The neighborhood wasn't hiding Jacob's disappearance, it was enforcing it. She ran home, locking her doors, but her phone buzzed again. A new text, "You can't hide from the HOA." She screamed, throwing the phone across the room. It shattered against the wall, sparks flickering before darkness swallowed the screen. That night, she couldn't sleep. Every creak of the house sounded like footsteps. Every shadow stretched too far across the walls. Suddenly, her bedroom door handle turned, ever so slightly. Someone was outside. Sarah leapt out of bed, clutching a lamp like a weapon. The handle stilled. Silence pressed in around her. When she finally opened the door, the hallway was empty, except for a folded paper on the floor. Her hands shook as she unfolded it. The words were short, final, "Next, it's you." Her scream echoed down the empty hallway, a sound swallowed quickly by the silence of the neighborhood. In that moment, Sarah realized the HOA wasn't just an association. It was a trap, and she was already inside it. The HOA president stands before the community, sweat dripping from his brow. "We will restore order," he declares, but his eyes dart nervously to the shadows behind him. Whispers ripple through the audience. People exchange terrified glances, some clutching their chairs as if ready to run. A woman stands up, trembling. "What happened to Mrs. Collins?" she shouts, breaking the fragile silence. The president slams his gavel. Silence. "That matter is not for discussion." His voice cracks. Gasps echo across the hall. Neighbors exchange frantic whispers, some swear they saw a shadow moving behind the president. A man in the back of the hall stumbles out of his chair, shouting, "It's happening again." Just like before. The crowd erupts into chaos, chairs scrape, people shout, some try to rush toward the exits. Suddenly, the lights flicker violently, then go out. The room is consumed by blackness. Screams echo in the pitch dark. Something heavy falls with a sickening thud. The lights snap back on. A man lies motionless in the aisle, his eyes wide open in horror. The crowd freezes. No one dares breathe. The president grips the podium, his knuckles white. Then, from the back of the hall, a chilling whisper cuts through the silence, "He saw too much." The president stammers, "This meeting is adjourned." He rushes from the podium, abandoning the crowd. The neighbors are left in stunned silence. Their community is unraveling, and the shadows are no longer hiding. One neighbor whispers the words no one wants to hear, "We were warned, and we ignored it." The HOA's president insists everything is under control, but his hands shake as he locks the clubhouse door. Whispers spread, some say the president knows more about the missing neighbor than he lets on. Then, a letter appears taped to the clubhouse door, "The truth will surface." The residents gather, arguing, demanding answers. Their voices rise, panic replacing order. But silence falls when a single scream cuts through the night. A woman is found trembling on her porch, pointing to a shadow slipping into the trees. They chase after it, but the shadow seems to vanish into the night. In the woods, they find another letter pinned to a tree, "He never left." Gasps echo. If he never left, then, someone has been hiding him all along. The president orders everyone back to their homes, promising answers in the morning. But few obey. That night, windows glow as neighbors watch the woods, afraid to sleep. At midnight, a dog begins barking violently at the tree-line. Neighbors rush outside, flashlights cutting through the dark. And there, between the trees, eyes glow back at them. Gasps ripple through the crowd. Whatever is out there, it isn't human. The HOA president slams a binder shut. Enough lies. If someone doesn't confess tonight, the board will take action. A tense silence falls. A trembling neighbor whispers, "I saw him the night before he vanished. He was arguing with you," pointing straight at the president. The president stammers, "That's absurd." He was unstable. His eyes dart, betraying guilt. A woman stands, voice shaking, "No. He told me he feared for his life, because of the HOA." The lights flicker violently. A low hum vibrates through the room, cutting her words short. The projector in the room flickers on by itself, displaying a distorted video feed, the missing neighbor's face. His voice, broken and distorted, echoes, "They know everything." The crowd screams, chaos erupts. Some rush the exits, but the doors won't budge. The projector flashes again, showing a masked figure standing behind the president. The president whirls around, nothing's there. His face drains of all color. One resident faints, collapsing onto the floor with a thud. The video glitches again, this time showing the neighbor being dragged into a basement. Screams echo as the president shouts, "Turn it off. Turn it off." But the projector won't shut off, the face keeps repeating, "They know everything." The screen goes black. Silence. Then, a single knock echoes from the boardroom door. Daniel's trembling hands reach for the mailbox, but this time, instead of letters, there's a small black box waiting inside. He hesitates, then opens it. Inside, a tape recorder already playing a faint static hum. A distorted voice plays, "You were warned. Now, you'll see what happens." Daniel stumbles back, clutching the tape. Across the street, the curtain in the missing neighbor's house twitches. He whispers, "Who's there?" but no answer comes, only the sound of the tape rewinding itself. Suddenly, the power in Daniel's house flickers violently, plunging him into near-total darkness. From the window, he sees every house on the street still glowing normally, except his. His phone lights up, unknown caller. Hands trembling, he answers. A whisper slides through the receiver, "Check your door." Slowly, Daniel turns toward the front door. A shadow moves beneath it. The doorknob rattles violently as if someone, or something, is trying to force its way in. Daniel shouts, "Leave me alone." Silence falls, but then comes a gentle knock. He inches closer, whispering, "Who's there?" A child's voice answers, "You." Daniel backs away in terror, then the door bursts open on its own, slamming against the wall. Beyond the open doorway, nothing. Just the empty, silent street staring back. A candle on the table flickered violently, though no breeze passed through. Mark's voice trembled. "It's like, the house itself is watching us." From the corner, a dark figure briefly appeared in the reflection of the window, gone when they turned. Laura gasped, clutching Mark's arm. "Did you see it? Tell me you saw it." Mark shook his head, eyes wide. "If it's watching us, then it knows we're close." Suddenly, every candle in the house blew out at once, plunging them into total darkness. Laura's scream tore through the silence. A whisper echoed back, leave, or join him. Mark fumbled for his flashlight, beam cutting through the dark, revealing muddy footprints leading upstairs. The prints were still wet, as though someone had just walked through. Laura whispered, but no one left the room. Mark's light trembled as he pointed up the staircase. We have to follow them. Each step creaked louder than the last, as though warning them away. Halfway up, the footprint stopped abruptly, as if the figure had vanished mid-step. Laura whispered, "It's toying with us." From the ceiling above, a slow drip of water landed on Mark's face. He froze. He raised the light, revealing the ceiling was soaked in fresh blood. The board president stands trembling, sweat dripping, whispering, we covered it up. The protagonist demands, "What did you hide?" His voice echoes through the silent hall. Another neighbor blurts out, "She didn't move away, she was taken." The protagonist stumbles back, whispering, "Taken, by who?" The president admits, voice breaking, "The HOA, isn't what you think. We made a pact." Gasps fill the room as whispers rise like a storm. The walls seem to pulse with dread. The missing neighbor, was the payment, he confesses, collapsing to his knees. Silence. The protagonist whispers, "A sacrifice, to what?" Suddenly, the lights cut out. Darkness swallows the hall. Screams echo as unseen forces drag neighbors into the dark. The protagonist stumbles into the dark, panting, "I have to get out." He bursts through the exit, into cold night air, only to find the cul-de-sac, empty. Silent. The houses stand hollow, windows black. No trace of neighbors remains. He realizes, trembling, they didn't just vanish. I'm the last one. The camera pans up into the night sky. A whisper drifts, "Your dues are paid." Fade to black.